Garbage Day. Alright, so we're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Part 2, whatever you want to call it. And, oh boy, so this is a weird one. Hold on. Did I put it? Right. It's a bit of a weird one. Hello, Tree. So the whole thing was they wanted to make a sequel, but they didn't have enough money. So they gave them the footage from the first film and said, edit this into another film. And they're like, hey, we need some kind of new footage to kind of, complete this. So the first 40 minutes is a retelling of the first film. And then the last 50 minutes is just insanity. It's new footage. Insanity, yes. So we start off in a police station. Ricky, from the previous film, Billy's younger brother, now played by Eric Freeman, fantastically, I might add, is, he's telling his story to, this is why I don't do the reviews in the living room. People don't know to shut up. So anyway, Ricky see, I never talk in the hallway. I'm courteous. Or if I do, I talk quietly. I don't talk loudly, alright? Be courteous to your neighbors. Don't be like them. The second day in a row that I've heard noises out there. Probably the same people, I don't know, but anyway. So, Ricky is telling his story to this therapist, I think it is. And the therapist wants to know what happened. So he tells him the entire story of the first film, even though Ricky was too damn young to know what happened to his parents. And yet, we see the whole beginning of this film, and then we see, I'm not going to recap, but I just want to point out that this movie, they retold all the important parts, and I'm just affirming that I am right, man. Everything that happened with Billy in the first film is Mother Superior's fault. Because she just would not. She wouldn't comfort him. She was a bitch to him. She was terrible. She punished him for something that wasn't even his fault. And then she forced him to sit on Santa's lap. And yeah, I don't want to keep on repeating myself, but I'm going to go a little flashback, a little bit here. But yeah, it was her fault. And so at the end of this flashback, we see the end of the first film with Ricky, young Ricky, some reason played by a different young actor, even though this is supposed to be flashback footage from the first film, but they changed the actor because it's not the same kid. I don't know, saying naughty, and then we transition to, we get more flashbacks, but this time it's current stuff. We found out that Ricky got adopted by the Rosenbergs, who he says weren't big on Christmas. It's because they're Jewish, you idiot. Anyway, he has this somehow horrible experience with nuns. I think the nuns were just trying to collect for the Christmas season, but they had this ominous music playing behind them, and they're going into the store, and it's freaking Ricky out for some reason. Look, I get what the nuns did to Billy would traumatize him, but Ricky wasn't around for any of that traumatization. I don't think he should be traumatized by nuns. It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, a lot of the flashback scenes didn't have Ricky in them, so there was no way for him to know. Like when the cop was trying to track down Billy, no, and ha, woo, that kid. But anyway, yeah. So, eventually, like he gets, eventually, Ricky's adopted papa passes away. And he's a teenager, and he comes across this man and this woman, and this guy's trying to get in her pants. And she's saying no, but he tries to force himself, and she slaps him away. And he runs to get some beer, and Ricky, having seen all this, runs the guy over with his own Jeep. A red Jeep. Which the therapist marks down, red car. Which never really goes anywhere, but even Ricky points out, red car. Good point. And then we transition to Ricky is now an adult, or 18 years old, apparently. And he sees this one guy pressuring this other guy for money, and it's one of those situations where, I'm going to pay you. Oh, it's too late, and he's going to beat the hell out of him. Ricky shows up and shoves an umbrella through the guy, and then pops it out to the other side. It's hilarious, but it's actually a pretty cool kill. And this actually freaks out the therapist, because this is one of the kills he didn't know about. He somehow knew about the running over, though. Because I highly doubt that. But he knew about the running over, he didn't know about this. Wouldn't Ricky's fingerprints be on the umbrella? And I know before you say anything, it was raining, but rain does not wash off fingerprints. Not like that. I'm sorry. I don't think it works that way. But anyway, then we hear the story of how Ricky fell in love with Jennifer, who's played by Elizabeth Cayden, who was from Friday the 13th Part 7. She played Robin. And she bumps into him on his motorcycle. He's got that, and he sees her leg, and he's like, oh yeah. And then so he ends up with her. And this is where it gets kind of confusing for me. So, he has sex with her, and he thinks it's her first time. They go to the movie theater, right? And they're watching a movie, but the movie they're watching is just footage from the beginning of the first film where the guy dressed as the Santa Claus robs the gas station. What? And that somehow snaps Ricky into punish. And he kills the guy that was making noises in the back of the thing, of the theater. Meanwhile, Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, Chip, shows up with this ridiculously dyed hair. I mean, they didn't even finish it. It's black hair and dyed on it. No, it was a terrible dye job. Redo it. And I hate this guy too, because he ruined. Now you could say, oh, Ricky was going to snap no matter what, but if this guy hadn't come around, he would probably still be happy right now. But the guy, starts bragging about how he fucked Jennifer, so makes him snap. He hooks a jumper cable to the guy's tongue, I think, and electrocutes him, and then she slaps him and says, you're a monster, and then when punish. Uh-oh. There's even a gulp, like, uh-oh, and then he chokes her with the car antenna. And then, and then it happens. He has a gun. He's assaulted by a cop. He takes the gun. He starts to shoot people, and we get the famous garbage day line where he shoots the guy, and then he goes to shoot himself, but there's no more bullets. So he's taken in, and this is where we are. And we find out he killed the therapist, and now he's escaped, and he goes, and he finally fucking kills that bitch Mother Superior. One big problem, though. This is supposed to be a satisfaction. Getting revenge for what happened. They recasted Mother Superior Even though they showed her in the previous stock footage from the first film, they decided to recast her anyway. Whether they couldn't get the actress back or something, they tried to hide the recasting by having these burns on her face, which looked ridiculous. More ridiculous than Dr. Loomis's burns in part 5. 4 or 5, whatever they were. It's not satisfying enough. When you're rooting for this person to get killed, it's not the same actress. But she's beheaded, and Ricky is shot dead. Well, we think he's shot dead, but he's in the third one, sort of. It's a different actor, but he's still alive technically. Eric Freeman's performance, for me, made this film. I think as hammy and kind of out there as it was, I think it's pretty good. And I think it's more entertaining than the first one, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry for those who like the first one better, but this is just more entertaining for me. It's 8 out of 10, and I think that's the highest this franchise is going to get, because I think it's going to down lower and lower as it goes. So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.